So from our bubble diagram that we did a scene ago, you want to start placing now your bubble diagram or your circle diagram points into sentences, essentially into your first verse. And I chose Monday might as well be Sunday. Now in the routine bubble, I put Monday through Sunday, 9 to 5. And essentially what I decided is that this song is going to be about the routine life of a relationship and of a love gone a little bit sour, but in the end ends up hopeful because both parties realize they want to be alone and that they're better off. My second line is "You're so predictable." So Monday might as well be Sunday, you're so predictable. And then I reiterated that thought with, and so the story goes. And it's also nice to keep that familiar language that we use in everyday speaking into your songs. It makes it more relatable and more likable. So what I did here was my first 3 lines were a little bit too short to complete the verse, so I decided to add a verse second part, if you will. And really all I want to focus on this and to drive the point home was in my routine I also thought of business deals, right? Well, I also thought of love being a game. What do we play? We play our cards right. Okay, develop that some more. You know, I've got no cards to fold. I got nothing to play on. And that was where this line stemmed from. So really sit and ponder and think about these things. And if it doesn't come naturally at first, don't fret and don't get frustrated. Just remember, trust and don't judge. And with practice, it will become much easier. So remember when I said earlier that the main part of this build, the main lyric was, "It's not gonna fly." That's really when the music shifts, the lyric shifts, the melody shifts, and takes it to that next level, which is the crescendo, the climax, the chorus. Your chorus is going to be your money maker, so be sure not to get too complicated. You want it to be catchy, simple, uplifting, if that's what you're going for, and right to the point. And I did that here using la la la's, as simple as can be. So the second verse, I just want to make a point and let you guys know that if you have a verse, a first part of a verse or a second part of the verse that you really feel strongly about and you really like and you feel like it's going to really make the song, don't be afraid, repeat it. That's absolutely okay. And that's what I did in Monday. I repeated into my first part of my second verse. Now in the second part of my second verse, I really want to make clear, and I feel like I did in this part, is that don't take yourself too seriously. Even if it's the most intense love song that you ever have written about a past love or a heartbreak or a death, remember not to take it so seriously. It can be so crazy how the story goes. It's so true. Life can be crazy, and so I try not to take myself so seriously, even in the process of songwriting. So we just came from the second verse into the chorus again. Remember our money maker, the la la la's, simple uplifting melody, to the bridge, which is so important. This takes listeners to another place and in turn makes them want to come back and hear that chorus, that comfortable home resting place for their ears. 2 points in the bridge that I'd like to mention other than think different. Think different from the rest of your song, melodically and lyrically. So I want to just talk a little bit about grammar. Now, we can say falling again, right? Sounds proper, that's correct. But we can also let loose a little bit and say fallen. So it's little details like that that give your listener that comfortable, can relate to place. And that's where you want your listeners to be. So fallen again instead of falling again. My second point that I'd like to mention is I call it the love me technique. And essentially, so at the end of this line, I said over and over again. And in the song, it'll be and again and again. So I essentially repeated the last couple lyrics of my last line. And how appropriate, because the lyric is again, the word is again. And by saying again and again, it reiterates psychologically a lot of different feelings. They want to listen to the song again. They want to go back again. So think about that too. You don't have to be a psychology major, but just think about how the other person is going to react, as well as how it makes you feel writing it. So the last part of our song, remember how I said that my chorus was la la la's, there wasn't a lot of lyrics, and I felt like it needed something extra, so I decided to write an extra end verse. In this verse, I decided that I was going to close my story. I was going to make it come to an end, a resolve, so that the listeners feel like they've heard a story from your first verse, which is your beginning, your unveiling, to your chorus, to your bridge, which kind of brings them to a separate place, into the last verse, which gives them closure. It's very important sometimes for your listeners to have closure in the story. And remember that throughout this process, we're looking back at our circle diagram and choosing the words that we've related to our main topics and formulating sentences. And feel free to just free write, creative, just think flow, and trust the creative process, and remember not to judge your creative process.
Monday might as well be Sunday. It's so predictable.